I'm going to share with you the second part in the study of the works of Carl Jung. Carl Jung was an eminent psychoanalyst, and actually his name is spelled J-U-N-G, but pronounced Jung. And he was a contemporary with Sigmund Freud, as you know. And one thing all of a sudden entered into Carl Jung's wisdom and understanding, which separated him from Sigmund Freud and Adler and just about every other psychoanalyst who's ever lived. Carl Jung found something in the human mind that he interpreted as God. There was something that he discovered that he said, you can't explain, but it's there. And we're going to cover a little bit tonight, and it's known as the shadow in us, among other things. And we'll try to get together and just for a moment go back to where we were. If you remember last week, Carl Jung says there are three stages. There's consciousness, which is you, as you are now. Then there's the personal unconscious, which is the psyche, which is the spirit. And then there's the collective unconscious, which we'll look at in a little more depth tonight. The personal unconscious, the collective unconscious, Carl Jung found is exactly the same in every human being on the face of the earth who lives or whoever has lived. It's in everybody. It doesn't make any difference whether you believe it's there. It doesn't make a bit of difference whether you don't understand it. It's still there. It is in every single person. You call it spirit. Religion calls it spirit. But Jung found something very strange, and that is it exists in every single human being on the face of the earth. And so he calls it the collective unconscious. It is a psychic form known as archetype. A-R-C-H-E-T-Y-P-E. And that's what he discovered. And that word archetype means original. Original. There is within you something that he discovered that transcends the creation of man, that transcends the creation of the earth, that is before man, that is part of the universal cosmos, and it is there, and it is within everybody, and he calls it an archetype. In other words, it is something extremely, it is original. It is before everything, and it is existing in you. And according to Jung, that these archetypes are forms and images which occur all over the earth as part of myth, and they are products of unconscious origin. Now, let's take a look at what he's talking about. Here's a situation which I've seen. I'm sure many of you have seen this on television, on Discovery or something. You see a monkey. A monkey will come down, and there was these snow monkeys of Japan. And your little monkey would come down there, and one of the monkeys got an idea. If I take this food, which is all gritty with all of this sand and kabak all over the thing, I put it in the water, then it tastes a lot better. And another monkey come down and said, where the heck did you get that idea? This is great. Who told you how to do this? I don't know. It just came to me. But strange, what they found is that another breed of monkeys completely on the other part of the earth, who had never talked to this group of monkeys, suddenly started to wash their food. And a monkey on the other side of the earth was washing his food, and another monkey came up and said, where the heck did you think? Where'd you get that idea? This is great. I don't know. It just came to me. It didn't just come to you. According to Carl Jung, in all living things, there is this. Noah's Ark. We read about Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark is a story in every culture of every group of people who has ever lived, under different names, but there's always a story, and they never had any ability to communicate with one another. Nobody told them about the story. There was no telephones, there's no telegraph, there's no television, yet they all knew the story of some kind of a flood. Who told them? I mean, you know, when people go back in archaeology, say, well, wait a minute, how the heck does a group of Inca Indians know about this? Where the heck did they get this story from? Something of a common bond comes in with variations, but basically the same story. And according to Carl Jung, the reason people know this same story without telling them is these truths are concentrations of psychic energy that are representations of certain human and superhuman personalities, and they exist entirely on their own. In other words, these are stories that tell of a deep truth of the operation of the human mind, and they are open to every human being. Anybody, even if you were never told about it, you would know about it. Every culture will know about this because it's part of the makeup of the human psyche. It is how a dog knows how to give birth. It is how a goose knows how to fly from Canada to Acapulco. It is how a robin knows how to come back to your backyard every year. It is how a little squirrel knows how, when it's time to grab the nuts and hide them under wherever they hide them under. All of these things. Suddenly, all of these strange stories that we've heard become recorded by every civilization in the world that never communicated with one another. So there is a defined pattern. There is written in the wind, there is written in the consciousness of the cosmos, these stories, because as Carl Jung says, they contain deep, mysterious truths about the human and superhuman potential of that which is the psyche of us. In other words, they're etched in the cosmos. They're etched in the heavens. Let me show you something very interesting. As Carl Jung shows us that through a divine consciousness, everyone in the world has this truth in an image, in a story. See? That's what he said. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a Christian, or whether you're Jew, or whether you're Hindu, or whether you're an African native, or whether you're an Inca, Indian. You all know the same truth. It doesn't make any difference what you may say it in a different way. And the other guy will disagree with you, not because your truth is different, but because you don't use the same names as he does. That's all. That's the only thing that separates us all. We call it different things. And we can't deal with somebody who calls it by a different name than what we call it. Right away we think they must be a cult because they use different names. So, watch something here. Take a look at page 150 in the New Testament in those little Bibles, the book of Romans. And go to Romans chapter 10, and you'll see how the Apostle Paul talks about this. He describes it quite close to how Carl Jung described it in the collective unconscious. Okay, Romans chapter 10, on page 150 in those little Bibles, verse 17, what does he say? So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly, their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. You got people going out trying to get missionaries to take the word to people who have never heard it. Everybody has already heard it. You just will not allow them to believe it in their way. See? And so what did we do? We said, oh, you can't believe this way. And we're going to change it so you believe our way. They've already heard the same story. They know it. It's already gone out to all of the ends of the world. But you're going to say, we're not going to share this. We've got to have it our way, or else it's not a good way. You've got to identify it as we identify it, or it's not acceptable. So we have there the collective unconscious. This has already gone out to every place in the world. But humankind, mankind comes along, and he will not allow you to believe freely. He will not allow others to believe freely. He's going to change everybody. It's the same way you change your kids. When your kids, when they're little kids, they spin in a circle. And you say, stop spinning, you'll get dizzy. Nature says, spin, 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 because they're closer to God than you. They haven't been out of the womb that long, and they still spin with the universe, which is the natural thing to do. But we can't deal with that. There must be something wrong with that, because we're taught to do it this way, do it the other way. So you have the collective unconsciousness, that all of these things have been heard throughout all the ages. You know what it says in the Bible? Do you know what it says in the Bible in the book of Colossians? And everybody's going around trying to get Jesus Christ to come into people. Do you know the Apostle Paul says in Colossians 3 that Christ is already in everybody, including barbarians? It is not you who are supposed to ask Jesus Christ to come into your heart. He's already there. It's him who's asking you to come into his. He is within you. Christ's consciousness is within every human being. And in this age that we're living in, it is the most magnificent time. It's the age that the Christians prayed for, the second coming of Christ. making his presence felt all over the world, and the ones who should see it cannot see it, and the ones who should know it, when it comes, they say it's a cult and they run like hell. Oh, don't get near that stuff. That stuff is God making his appearance, just as he said, when you see the man with the pitcher of water, enter into your house, go to the upper room, and I will meet you there. They never, ever believed him. See? And so Carl Jung shares with us about this, the potentials that lie dormant in us. There's always been, if you, and I study this, go to the library. Take the stories of mythology, take the stories of the ancient cultures. There's always been a God-man who came to the earth, was crucified, died, was born of a virgin, rose again. There's hundreds of them. It's always been that way for every culture. You can call him whatever you want. You can call him Adonis, you can call him Jesus, you can call him Osiris, you can call him Christian. They're all the same. We'll say, well, he's not honoring Jesus. Jesus Christ told you before Abraham was, I am. He tried to tell you that. But no, so he doesn't call himself Jesus, and so that way he can't be us. His name wasn't even Jesus. It's not even the man's name. I could never, and since I have understood this, I can never understand why we are afraid to call him by his correct name. What isn't even his name? Who are you praying to? Maybe that's why everything's screwed up. You got the wrong guy. His name was Jeheshua. So why are you afraid to call him Jeheshua? We couldn't call him Jeheshua now because it would blow the whole deal. What would they do with all the offerings? Can't tell the truth. If you walk down the street in Israel and he said, Jesus, he wouldn't turn around because that's not his name. That's a Greek name. He wasn't Greek. Jeheshua. He who circles 7 times and the walls come down. That was his name. You're not allowed to call him by his right name, but yet you're told to pray in his name. So Carl Jung says that these potentials lie dormant in this unconscious until they are pulled forward in a specific form, either by religion or by tradition. And then suddenly you start to believe these things. You start to take these things. You start to understand these things. What I'm telling you is hard for some people. It's very hard because you know what? Your ego does not want you to let go. You've been taught this all your life. But Jesus Christ says, you have made the law of God of no effect by your traditions. He doesn't live in a church. He doesn't live in a cathedral. He lives in a temple built without human hands. That's it right here. It's the only place you'll ever find him. And Carl Jung says that when one of these original forms appears in our culture, we are observing an outpouring of psychic energy manifested in a material way. People get really freaked out by the word psychic. It means spirit.